Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
Have you ever found yourself lying awake, or maybe just as you're waking up and wondered what your brain really does all night? I mean, it's definitely not just powered down, right?
Not at all. It's incredibly active, a real powerhouse, actually, like a memory factory working the night shift.
Exactly, a memory factory. We sort of expect to wake up refreshed, but, often the most crucial work happens while we're out the brain solidifying everything we learned.
Consolidating those experiences.
And for decades, scientists have been, fascinated by sleep's power to strengthen memories. They've pinpointed specific brainwave patterns that seem vital for this.
That's right.
But there's been this big question lingering. Are these memory-making rhythms fixed, like hardwired, stable, like your fingerprint?
Right.
Or are they more flexible? Can they adapt based on your day, what you learned, maybe even what you ate?
That's the core puzzle, really. Trait or state. Is it fixed or does it change day to day?
So this deep dive, we're going to explore some really recent findings. We're looking at a scientific commentary from the European Journal of Neuroscience and also a Neuroscience news article that shed some fascinating light on this.
Yeah, some intriguing work.
We'll dig into the science of how sleep actually builds memories and uncover some surprising factors that might make that memory factory in your brain even more efficient.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Before we jump into whether these rhythms are stable or flexible, maybe let's just clarify what they are and why they matter so much for memory in the first place.
Absolutely. It's quite an elegant system, actually. During non-rapid eye movement sleep, that's the deep, dreamless part for most of the night. The brain orchestrates memory consolidation using two key electrical patterns.
Okay.
The first one is called slow oscillations. You can picture these as large, very slow waves sweeping across the brain. They reflect neurons switching between being quiet, a down state, and then being more excitable, the up state.
Like a slow pulse across the brain.
Exactly, like a deep, steady rhythm. Each wave lasts maybe half a second to 2 seconds.
Okay, slow oscillations.
Ah.
And the second pattern.
Those are sleep spindles. These are much faster, brief bursts of activity, usually between 11 and 16 cycles per second, or hertz. They often look like they get stronger than weaker, sort of waxing and waning.
Little burst of energy.
Kind of like little fireworks, yeah. They're a real signature of non-rapid eye movement sleep, and they're thought to be involved in processing information.
Got it. Slow oscillations and sleep spindles.
But here's the critical part. It's not just having both of them, it's their timing, their precise coordination, or what we call coupling.
Ah, the coupling.
Yes.
Ugh.
When a sleep spindle happens at just the right moment, specifically during the up state of a slow oscillation, when neurons are more excitable, that seems to create the perfect conditions for strengthening the connections between neurons.
The synapses.
Exactly, the synapses. And strengthening those connections is fundamentally how we learn and form stable memories. This whole process is believed to lock in those memory traces.
Wow. So this slow oscillation spindle coupling is absolutely central.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier, we know this coupling changes with age.
That's right. It tends to decline as we get older, and unfortunately that decline is linked to age-related memory problems and cognitive decline.
Okay, so that suggests some long-term stability or change. But what about the short term, the day-to-day stuff? Could, say, cramming for an exam actually change this coupling that night?
That's precisely the question researchers wanted to answer. Is it fixed day-to-day, or can recent learning experiences actually tweak it?
So they designed an experiment.
They did. The study we're looking at involved 41 participants. They came into the lab for overnight sleep recordings, polysomnography, which measures brain waves, eye movements, muscle activity, all that.
The full picture.
Right. And they had two main conditions. One night, participants did a word pair learning task before going to sleep. On another night, a control night, they didn't do any specific learning task beforehand.
Comparing a learning night to a regular night makes sense.
And they even varied the difficulty. Some people learned 40 word pairs, others learned a much longer list, 120 pairs.
Upping the cognitive load.
Exactly.
Wow.
And one group, the ones learning 40 pairs, had an extra condition. They had to get at least 60% right before they could even go to sleep. So they had to demonstrate successful learning.
Okay, so they really tried to push the learning aspect. What did they find? Did learning actually boost or change this crucial coupling? You'd almost expect it to, wouldn't you?
You might think so. But interestingly, the results were, well, maybe a bit anticlimactic on that front. They found no significant overall differences in the slow oscillation spindle coupling between the learning nights and the control nights.
Really? No difference, even with the harder learning task.
Not overall, no. Across all the conditions, the general strength of the coupling didn't seem to change dramatically just because they'd learned word pairs beforehand.
Huh. So maybe learning just before sleep doesn't immediately retune these brain rhythms in a big way.
It suggests it might not. At least not this specific type of coupling in response to this specific type of task in just one night. But there was a nuance, a subtle finding.
Okay, what was that?
In the group that had to reach that 60% learning threshold.
The successful learners.
Right. In that group, they did find a correlation between how well individuals performed on the memory test the next day and the precise timing of their slow oscillation spindle coupling.
So not the overall amount of coupling, but the when, the exact phase relationship.
Precisely. It hints that while the sheer amount of coupling might be relatively stable night to night, subtle adjustments in its timing might still be linked to how well memories are actually consolidated after successful learning.
Okay, that's more like it. So it's not totally inflexible.
Exactly. And they also found another link consistent with other research. The strength or power of the sleep spindles themselves was related to this preferred timing, especially in the frontal parts of the brain. And that relationship is something known to change with age, too.
So summing that part up, it's looking like this coupling isn't purely fixed, like a fingerprint, but it's also not massively flexible based just on what you learn that particular day. It's kind of both.
That seems to be the emerging picture. It's complex. The researchers themselves pointed out something important.
Which was?
Even on the control night, people weren't coming in with blank slates, right? They'd spent a whole day experiencing things, learning implicitly, encoding all sorts of information.
Oh, right. Life itself is learning.
Exactly. So the word pair task, well controlled, might have been a relatively small extra learning load compared to everything else the brain was already processing from the day.
So the experiment might not have provided a strong enough signal to see a big shift against that background noise of daily life consolidation.
Potentially. It supports this idea that slow oscillation spindle coupling likely has both stable treat-like features, your individual baseline perhaps, and these more subtle state-dependent adjustments based on experience.
Okay, so if a specific learning task didn't dramatically shift things overnight, the researchers started looking elsewhere, right? What else could influence these rhythms day to day?
Yes, and this leads to a really compelling connection, our metabolic state. What's going on with our body's energy regulation?
Metabolism. How does that connect to brain waves during sleep?
It's fascinating. Some recent human studies found something quite striking. People who had lower blood sugar levels the morning after sleep, lower fasting glucose, actually showed stronger and more precise, slow oscillation spindle coupling during their sleep the night before.
Wow. Lower blood sugar, better coupling.
That's what the association suggested, and this held up even when they controlled for lots of other factors: age, sex, body mass index, sleep apnea, sleep duration.
So it seemed pretty robust.
It did. The only thing that made the association disappear was when they factored in whether someone had diabetes, which points to a really intricate link between how our body handles sugar and these very specific sleep brainwaves.
So it's not just what you learned, but maybe what you ate or didn't eat. That's wild. How do they test that more directly?
That's where animal studies come in, giving a clearer cause and effect picture. Researchers worked with adult rats and directly manipulated their metabolic state before sleep.
How?
Two main ways. One group of rats was fasted for 6 hours before they slept. Another group was given an injection of glucose, basically sugar.
Okay, creating low sugar and high sugar states before sleep. What happened?
The results from fasting were pretty remarkable. Fasting led to a significant increase in the number of both slow oscillations and sleep spindles.
More of both key rhythms.
Yes, and importantly, it increased how often they occurred together, their co-occurrence. And crucially, it shifted the timing.
The phase coupling again.
Exactly. After fasting, the spindles happened slightly later relative to the slow oscillation, aligning more closely with that upstate, the very timing previously linked to better memory consolidation.
So fasting seemed to optimize the timing for memory.
That's what the data suggests. They also saw an increase in hippocampal ripples, another brainwave pattern involved in memory, particularly spatial and event memory.
Okay, and what about the glucose injections, the high sugar group?
That was different. Glucose injections did increase the number of sleep spindles, but they didn't affect the slow oscillations or the crucial coupling between them or the hippocampal ripples.
Interesting. So just adding sugar didn't have that same optimizing effect on the coordination.
It seems not, and here's a really key point. All these changes in the fine structure of sleep, the density and timing of these waves happen without changing the total amount of time the rat spent in non-rapid eye movement sleep or rapid eye movement sleep.
So it wasn't just about sleeping, more or less. It was about the quality and the pattern within the sleep stages.
Precisely. It suggests that things we do day to day, like our nutritional state, can actually modulate these very intricate sleep rhythms, potentially fine-tuning the brain's ability to consolidate memories overnight.
That is truly fascinating.
Yeah.
It really paints a picture where, okay, maybe our age or genetics sets a general baseline for these rhythms.
Like a framework, yes.
But our immediate experiences, like fasting or maybe other metabolic states, can actually tweak the dynamics. It strongly suggests this coupling isn't purely a stable trait. It's got this significant flexibility based on experience.
Absolutely. It reinforces this idea of a dynamic interplay. You have your stable individual sleep architecture, your baseline. But on top of that, there are these state-dependent factors, learning, metabolism, possibly others we don't even know about yet, that can subtly fine-tune the system.
So thinking practically then,
Yeah.
for us, people trying to learn better, remember more, what are the takeaways here?
Well, it's still early days to make definitive prescriptions, of course. But this research does offer some food for thought. It suggests that paying attention to healthy metabolic habits, maybe things like avoiding huge meals right before bed, maintaining stable blood sugar, might actually support more effective memory consolidation during sleep.
It adds another layer to sleep hygiene beyond just duration.
Exactly. It underscores the importance of quality sleep, the integrity of these underlying rhythms. It's not just about getting 8 hours. It's about making sure the brain can actually do its complex work during those hours.
And this field is clearly still evolving rapidly. What are the next big questions? Where does the research go from here?
Oh, there are many. A huge one is understanding the exact brain circuits that control this precise timing. How does the brain ensure a spindle fires at just the right phase of a slow oscillation? We need to get down to the level of specific neuronal populations.
The nitty-gritty mechanics.
Right. And there's also fascinating emerging work, mostly in rodents so far, suggesting that even non-rapid eye movement sleep isn't one uniform state. It seems to fluctuate through different substates.
Deeper levels within deep sleep.
Sort of. Defined by changing levels of brain chemicals, neuromodulators like serotonin, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, which we already know play roles in memory. How these slower chemical waves interact with the faster electrical rhythms like slow oscillations and spindles is a huge unknown.
Wow, layers upon layers.
It's incredibly complex, but that's the frontier, understanding how all these electrical and chemical signals coordinate across different timescales to support memory.
Well, this deep dive has certainly shown that sleep is anything but passive. It's this incredibly dynamic, highly orchestrated process. That timing of electrical signals may be influenced by chemical signals, maybe influenced by what we ate. It's all working to reinforce what we learned.
That's the picture, yes. And as scientists continue to unravel how slow oscillations and sleep spindles cooperate and how they might be tuned by our daily lives, we get closer to understanding how to really optimize our sleep for our waking minds.
So here's a thought to leave you with as you drift off tonight. Could something as simple as adjusting your eating patterns before bed potentially do more than just affect your body? Could it actually be fine-tuning the very rhythms in your brain that build your memories night after night? It really makes you think about sleep differently, not just as rest, but as this active, responsive process constantly interacting with your waking life.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.